Hello everyone, this is Infinum here. Today I'm going to bring you another team ideas for 3v3. Now, one thing that we know is that 5v5 just finished, so you have like a week to prepare ourselves for the oncoming onslaught that 3v3 will unleash upon us. And most importantly, mid-season, we should have those balance changes, so that's going to be super rough. Now, here we have the game in Portuguese. There's been that update that they have made to the game that prevents you from logging into the current version unless you're using your native language. I'm Portuguese, so you're stuck with Portuguese for this one. Luckily, you should be able to see the characters pretty well disregarding the language. Maybe we can even learn some Portuguese here, like power is poder. You know, there you go. A couple more things that you get to learn, I guess. Anyway, so here you have some suggested compositions. So for example, if you wanted to split your whole first order into 3 different teams, Crew and Hux are definitely some powerhouses that you could have all in the same team with SLKR, but that's a waste. 3v3 is a game mode where you want to kind of branch out as much as possible and use as many resources spread across the board, because you make a team too good and you might not have enough to deal with 2 or 3 teams that you could have built instead. Now, it really depends on which teams we're talking about here, but I just kind of want to give my different insights on certain things. For example, SLKR with Hux and Faust is the best holding team out there for this Galactic Legend. However, the comps that I'm going to suggest you here to use are going to be with Fu and Stormtrooper, which allows you to still use Crew and Fox, which is an amazing source of a great tank and a great single target hitter between Fox. And honestly, in this spot where you have Phasma here, you can use Watambor and you assign tank tech over to Crew, weapon tech over to Fox, and you are demolishing all of those nasty Rex 5 Zeres teams you see out there. You really just shred through those things like it's nobody's business. So this team with Watambor, I would highly recommend it on offense, really. And this team, this is just a banner sniper. Sith Trooper Awiz, this guy is Awiz. This guy gives counters to the whole team. Whenever you're counterattacking, you're probably critting, which allows this dude to assist, which very often ends up being almost like a mass assist that you're getting for attacking one of these characters. It's extremely punishing, and the very fast Hux will make this team incredibly dirty. I've tested out some tenacity builds as well as health builds for Sith Trooper. In 3v3 that doesn't work as well. Do stick to offense builds on this guy for this game mode. And of course, we still save this dude for a solo. So I think that's all in all a successful way of splitting your first order. Only loser here is TIE Pilot, DOG1. Rip him. Anyway, we move over to other endearing things. Jedi Master Kenobi. Now, I think this team is going to be a very obscene team to fight against. You'll have Master Kenobi, you will have Cat. You know that if you have Cat in that team, she's guaranteed to get that big hit. So, it's almost guaranteed the banner sniper unless you're bringing in Zombie, which, still snipes a banner because you're not getting protection back on her. Idea between here with having both Ahsokas is that you're basically still keeping other teams intact, and Ahsoka is in this team for the same reason she's in the arena team. She feeds up ult charge amazingly well. She synergizes very well with Cat for Shien whenever she uses that ability, although I believe AI only shifts it over to Jedi Master Kenobi. Nonetheless, this team is going to be an absolute pain, and there's other cool ways of using Commander Ahsoka Tano. I was looking into ways of putting her with Rey, but I think we've figured out some other cool teams in which we still can do JMK+CAT to take out something like 2v3 if you choose to use them on offense. And Cat just doesn't go there. I think in 5v5 you have a lot more reasons to use Cat with Rey. In 3v3, with Jedi Master Kenobi, cooldown decrease, it's very convenient to leave these two paired up together. Brings us to this Padme team. Now, you have used Padme JK GK or Padme Ahsoka JK, some variant of those, for ages. The team I'm recommending here is Padme GK 3PO because this thing gives Malik a 44% win rate. So you're more likely to hold with the Padme team with GK and 3PO in there than with any other composition out there, as Malik is just going to solo that. So if you think your opponent always uses Malik to solo Padme, you can set this thing on defense just to try to trip him up. Now, does that mean this 3PO is well spent here? Maybe a hold is worth it for you. Maybe not. Maybe you have 3PO to be used elsewhere, like Rebels. We'll see soon. But if you don't have Rebels that you want to use that way, or, you know, for example, like CLS on Chewie too much, this could be a way of using your 3PO. So let's proceed over to next teams now. Very uncreative team, very uncreative teams really here between Gas, Rex 5, Shakti Echo Arc. The reason for this is that if you want to use Gas to go against Darth Revan, Rex 5's boosts up the best win rate against that team. So if you're using these guys on offense, particularly in a safe way where you're also conceding a lot of banners, but it's super safe, then Rex 5's makes the most sense. Otherwise, do keep in mind, Rex 5's Ares, amazing team. Rex 5's 3PO as well. Amazing teams to place on defense just to make your opponents really annoyed. And then Shakti takes whichever those guys are left over. You have your Cody and your Sarge to use with Shakti in case you'd like to do Rex 5's Arc or Rex 5's Echo. But I think between Gas and Shakti, you've got two perfectly capable leaders. It just really depends if you need Gas with other Jedi or not as a kind of a GL counter, but Gas 501st is pretty strong still in 3v3, and it's only going to get better with the balance changes later on. That leaves you with some leftover Jedi in case you have done the Jedi Master Kenobi stuff, and honestly this stuff doesn't look too great. I could have done a couple of more of these teams for some other factions probably, but since I do have Jedi Master Kenobi, I thought why not. So Qui-Gon is in this team because his leadership gives some speed. Aayla is incredibly underrated. In 3v3, she's going to do some serious work with her stuns. Qui-Gon Aayla OG Ahsoka team was actually netting me some holds last season, so that's another team to look at. In this variant, we're going to keep Jedi Knight Anakin in this team. He's going to be stuck with these guys, and they're kind of squishy as his partners, and the longer you leave Aayla alive, hopefully she keeps stunning and JK does something. Not an amazing theory craft, but I mean, you have a leftover JKA. What could possibly go wrong? You know, what could also possibly go wrong? Oh man, just putting in the rest of your relics of the GR together. Sure. Now this is the slot where, you know, if you're not using Shakti like that, you can put her here, but, you know, if you have Jedi Knight Luke, you're not too happy using a Shakti in this way. So let's move on swiftly. We've got Separatists to look at here. Newt B1 Jango Fett is an absolute hardcore team to go against. Jango Fett starts with damage immunity, Newt revives, and B1 has loads of stacks. These guys, two of these have AoEs. Newt is a banner sniper because when he dies, he's going to apply that extortion almost 100% of the time just because it annoys you, so 100% of the time. So it's a very annoying defensive team. If you don't have a great use out of your Wat Tambor for offense, then Newt Magna Wat Tambor is the best holding team on defense, and you have Newt to remove TM and to slow them. Sorry, you have Newt to slow them down. You have Wat Tambor to remove turn meter, and you have Magna Guard as this persistent guy that just will not die. So that's a way of doing it. You can leave your B1 with your GG if you plan on using GG on offense. Otherwise, GG B2 Magna Guard is a very stale composition. It's not a great team by any means. In 3-3, it's severely weakened. But I would recommend you to give a shout over to GG B1 and Magna Guard. These guys on offense, they can do some good banners. If you hate Geonosians, you know, they're still like 52, 53 banners, depends on how you end the battle, if you're able to salvage off a banner on GG or not. So, you know, it's cool. Also works as a GG counter if you need one. So at least you've got that. And now, you know, nice gear that I have on these guys, but Dooku, GBA, Droideka. Dooku is going to stealth himself. GBA and Droideka are gonna leave Brute out there. And Droideka can start doing some work in the background. Of course, if you have 3 really decently geared Geos, then it makes sense to do, for example, Geo, Spy, so GBA, Spy, and Sunfac. I would do Sunfac over Soldier for the specific reason that Sunfac does a spell buffs on basic, which if you're using, for example, a Padme against it, it makes it an absolute guaranteed timeout, so it's just a terrible choice from your opponent. Oh yeah, let's use Padme, then he gets wrecked. Speaking of, this is the most common JKR team. You can swap out Jolie for Basila to get those buffs over to JKR in regards to how their uniques interact, but otherwise, I'm kind of hyped. I finally relicked my Jedi Knight Revan after a very long time of misfortune going around his way, but he's now relicked up. He's ready to go. So now I have this team, so I have to flex it, as well as Jolie. Jolie was also not relicked for a very long time. Speaking of another team that I might have left in not a great way, CLS, Han, Chewie. Well, this one. Well, this one. So, you know, it's as old as it's ever been. However, you can do CLS, 3PO, Chewie, very common defensive team. Very annoying defensive team, especially if you load those guys with tenacity. Totally resists that JTR counter. Resists. So definitely a good team to place on defense if you're looking into that as well. Now here, I just want to take a quick look over here. Okay, I don't have this on defense. So this is mostly. Is there no JTR? Okay, thought I had done a couple here. Ah, okay. Sorry. So this is some more tabs that I was working on. Okay, this actually makes a whole lot more sense. Okay, we've got a couple more teams to look at. So those were more of my personal routes. Not those ones were not as interesting. There's a couple here that might be more of your interest. Okay. Jeez. Okay, I knew I had done these, but I was like, all right. Anyway. A cool way of using your armor. If you do have a G13 because of all of the current onslaught you see with JMK in your arena, and you use your armor with your Sith Eternal Emperor, well then by no means this is actually the team with the best defensive hold rate, as well as this one with Rey. You have Rey Holdo armor, and you have Sith Eternal Emperor, Sith Empire Trooper, and armor as well. So the thing is, here you have a 50-50 chance of landing the best car on your Galactic Legend, which just makes the hold a little bit easier. And from there, even if it's a solo GL, it's a 1v3, it's still kind of likely that they do decently well. And you've got this guy pre-taunting, so you don't even need Sith Eternal to go first to make him taunt, basically. Both of these teams, I'd imagine, can be incredibly annoying because you're just going to give them so much more defense and some extra max health and some protection recovery. I think it's and crit hit immunity, obviously. So, yeah, if you have relic levels, this can be a very annoying team, and the win rate is just going to go up if the RNG is with your defense that day. Guaranteed that if your opponent is attacking it, then he's going to get the better RNG, right? So that you got it. Another team that's super annoying, JKL, JML, Watambor. What happens? Well, Watambor gives Tank Tech over to JML, gives probably Med Pack over to JKL. The thing about this is that Jedi Knight Luke is going to reduce the speed of your enemies. And what's very important about that? Well, it's huge. Because that means that if you're not taking a Galactic Legend, they get slowed down. And in 3v3, imagine how clutch that is. A lot. So this team is very hard to counter without a GL. So if your opponents don't have a lot of GLs, or you think you forced out enough GLs at this point, very annoying team. There you go. So that's the staple CLS team on defense. We've talked about this new team. Okay, and that's why I wanted to shift over to this tab, because I wanted to talk about the split instead of DP Thrawn Vader that you'd see usually. Alright, so this is incredibly weird. We're taking away BSF from the Darth Revan team. Infidem, you're fucking mad. What are you doing? Alright, so this is the team with the second best hold rate on .gg, and the way you'd mod this, you still make Malik faster than Darth Revan, so you dispel the pre-taunt, and you cancel out that Vader counter, and basically whatever else they're going to take against Darth Revan with Basila, they're probably still going to take it with Darth Revan with Marauder instead. Now, very weirdly, I saw this EP team that had, I was clicking through leaders, and EP had like a 14% hold rate, and I was like, alright, what is going on here? What teams are people actually setting on defense? And this bad boy over here has 27% hold rate. Now, giving away a Vader to your defense is a steep price to pay for it, but you can see how annoying this would be, right? You have the Palpatine train, you have Vader who opens up with his AoE, and since it's Palp lead, merciless, and he starts slapping, BSF applies more debuffs. It's a very annoying team if you don't start with a lot of tenacity right from the bat, so like a Bastila lead or a JKR lead, where you got some tenacity. It can get frustrating, I'd imagine, and you sure as hell don't want to preload it. So it's more of a, it allows you to have an interesting Palpatine team, especially because Palps is R7 for a lot of people. And in my experience, he's incredibly difficult to get some views that you're kind of happy with. And this way, I think you can kind of get away with it and still have a Darth Revan team that can be annoying to take out. Now, Bastila Shan Fallen, of course, does add a lot to the Darth Revan squad. But, you know, it's 3v3. You gotta make sacrifices on your teams, and you can make some two very interesting teams this way. Or you can just put Thrawn in here and you move VSF back here. There's no issues with that. None at all. Alright, so boss, this is one of the teams with the best hold rates as well. It's just a very stally team. Dengar heals, Grief heals, boss taunts, and they just don't die. At least that's how I see it. I don't think there's a huge win condition here. Hux, Fox, Stormtrooper actually helps some nice hold rate, and of course Fox hits super hard, so if he's countered, if they're attacking Fox and Hux is still alive and they're countering, it's annoying. Stormtrooper can also call him to assist. You know, not as good as Red Sith Trooper in my opinion, but still decent. And speaking of, this is a less common way of putting in your resistance dudes. I think this one might be a little bit better. So you have JTR with Hero Bros who have a higher hold rate than Finn with Hero Bros. And Finn with Vets can still be pretty sneaky. If you have your Finn and your Vet Chewie like I do, and they're just gear 8s and you have a Relic Vet Han, you're gonna think, oh yeah, this is fine. But Vet Han gets a bonus turn for Finn dying and a bonus turn for Vet Chewie dying. So if you're bringing in some AoEs and you're not killing Vet Han from the get-go because you can't control him from the start, he's gonna snipe some banners. I've actually seen some pretty nice results. I've seen some holds from this team as well. Now, I mean, it totally depends on which GP you're at, but it's not a terrible team to place on defense by any means, and I think this team is way stronger than Finn Bros. Oh, and then we're speaking about the devil. So imagine if JTR could actually taunt for a long period of time. She has so much foresight. How are you actually going to hit her? She has an evasion mastery. Well, Watambor slaps some tank tech on JTR and she's going to be an absolute nightmare. And then you can add Vat Han in there. It was one of the suggested comps with some decent hold rate, and I thought, well, you probably have Vat Han from your SLKR grind, so why not? Maybe Vetri works decently here too, but it's mostly that JTR Wattenboard that can just destroy your dreams. Speaking of more defensive teams, Mon Mothma Cassian K2, they present itself as the best team to hold on defense. I mean, I'm not a huge expert in Mon Mothma, but if you ever and you have geared up these guys, then they seem like the ones to go for. I think people actually use a combination of Cassian Cara Dune, maybe, or Cassian. I'm not sure if it's Cassian K2 that people use in 3s against GG, but something worth looking out for. I'm pretty sure there's some videos on that from some people that know them a whole lot better than I do. Here we have Old Ben Spirit Scav Ray. So if you farmed your Scav Ray for your Ray, you have Old Ben farmed from your JMLS grind. Spirit is another interesting character to always place in here because of her foresight. She applies a stun. Scavray will hit hard at Relic 7. Old Ben is annoying. He's going to be Relic 5. He's going to taunt for the team. It's just an annoying team with two attackers and a lot of RNG to it with evasion. So have fun. If you hate MILF, well, you hate this. So you got that. Just in that Rebel Spirit. And that leaves you with some Talzin Daka Zombie team to do. You can also slap in SLKR Daka Zombie or even C Daka Zombie, depending on what's going on with JMK. I don't think C Daka Zombie is really going to be a thing, but SLKR Daka Zombie, surely a team to be considered against Jedi Master Kenobi. So there's that, like that one we were showing earlier with JMK+CAT. Yeah, I think SLKR Daka Zombie might be a counter to that. We'll have to wait and see a bit. This crew team is the one that holds the best, so this would allow you to do Hux, Fox, Faust, and crew Fu Sith Trooper. This team actually got us a very important hold on a couple of rounds ago in 3v3. That won us the match, so this team is one I can say that is actually pretty good too. And that allows you to use a solo with SLKR and like a Darth Revan, and you're happy with that. And oh, alright. to wrap off this part, okay, this is a very interesting split. So I was actually talking with someone, the wolf, about Bam, Han, and Chewie beating both Jedi Knight Luke and Gas. He has that stuff on his GC history, showed me that. Can be a very interesting team to use because, you know, your CLS is offloaded over to your 2PO and your 3PO to hold on defense. Well, you've got Han and Chewie, who might go with Wedge to kill Hero Bros, but you can get a whole lot better use out of these guys. Of course, you can do Han and Chewie with GL Rey, but as we showed before, there's other uses for Rey where you can put her with Hold and Armor and she's super annoying still. Or you can put her with your best Carmando and you actually give him some good use in 3v3. Bam with IG and Kuil in 3s is not a good team, but Bam with Han and Chewie is actually alright. What is actually an also alright team that's probably underestimated when I look at it, it's Kira, IG, Kuil. They actually boast like a 25% hold rate, something like that. Crazy. I'm sure people are not overestimating it, that's for sure. So if you have a sneaky, like, you know, usable gear Kira and some usable IG and Kuil, I guess that this split could work for you in a way where you're using Bam with Han and Chewie and you're offloading your IG and Kuil to someone else. Now, could this be Kira? Instead of Kira, you can use someone else. You could use like Django, you could use Boba Fett. Really depends on who you'd have left over. But Kira seems to be the best leader, just in theory, but, you know, we've discussed other people, so we've also have that. Let me check if there's any other comp that I miss here. The RBSF, well, on offense, yeah, Darth Sion, Darth Trey, Earth Nihilus, well, I mean, that's a team. Put Watem board here because I haven't geared up my Nihilus, but that'll take a while. Boss Grief Mando, super good at just shredding timeout teams. Have you seen those Bastila lead Zeris Jolie teams or Bastila lead Zeris Hermit Yoda? Yeah, those things get shredded by this. So that's good. Relic Bounty Hunters from your Executor and your JMK farms? Yes, sign me up. That's the ones. And Ewoks. Asajj Zombie R2. Okay. So if R2 stealths Asajj and leaves Zombie out in the open, it prolongs the battle a little bit more, but there's nothing in here that R2 would do that Dooku wouldn't, and Dooku would probably do it a lot better. So, yeah, I'm questioning this team comp here. I really am. And Bad Batch to finish off. We still have a couple. Okay. Bad Batch. I believe that this comp is the best one. It's not the one with the best hold rate, but on offense, I believe I've seen people counter CLS with this. CLS 3PO 2PO at gear 11-ish. Maybe a bit better. Definitely a team to keep an eye out if you have geared them up, though. Speed that Echo, make Tech potent, make Hunter potent, even make Echo potent, just so these guys can start lending their debuffs. This team, just it's not even a good thing to flex because a lot of people now have Relic Cam, but hey, I want to show off my cam. I'm proud of him. I'm proud of him at gear 8 in those items. And we have the 2 leftover relics that I couldn't find teams to. Waiting for Bam to be in my roster because Executor gotta farm that guy. And Maul from Conquest. And then we have a Bam, Bo-Katan, or even Django. And Maul, the Mandalorian leader, as we know, that is going to be coming out to the game soon, who we don't have a kit on, but should have soon. So definitely looking forward to that one because, I mean, if he's going to make the Mandalorians better, that surely makes that Mandalorian faction a whole lot more interesting. So at least there's that. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Hopefully I had a lot of bright ideas in here. Probably not. You've probably seen a lot of these teams before, but hopefully a couple or two will be inserted over to your defense and they help you out. And Jesus Christ, this video is almost 25 minutes. I hope that was insightful. I should also go to sleep because this was, you know, an all-nighter. Not to make this video, but I was up for all night for some goddamn reason. So you guys stay safe, you guys have fun, and enjoy your time. This was Infinitum, and I'm signing out now. See ya.